Hello, welcome or welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot. My name is Liz and I will be guiding you on this journey today. This is a reading for Aries, wherever Aries is in your chart. I hope you're all doing well. You've got like Saturn, Neptune, Chiron still in your sign. So Saturn will be there for 3 years. Neptune, I think, is going to be there for damn 14 years. Is that right? Man, I don't know how long Chiron is or has left in Aries. But anyway, I hope that you're doing okay. And if you listened to your human design profile reading last month, I went on a rant about how I'm not editing these videos anymore because CapCut sucks. And I'm still judging myself pretty heavily for that, which is why I'm even bringing it up, because I feel like if I say it first, then I can't be judged. So yeah, the readings aren't going to be edited at all. So whatever happens throughout the reading, if my dog starts freaking out, or if I'm literally just sitting here staring at the cards in silence, because I do that a fair amount. Like, it takes a couple minutes for words to get from my mind to my mouth sometimes. You know, all of it is going to be in there. And the other announcement is that after this round of readings, I do intend on doing profile readings too. I'm just not convinced that I'm going to. We'll see. But I'm going to take a break for at least a month or two. And it very well could possibly be permanent as well. I'm not sure yet. I feel like it's my brain, and I don't know, maybe my emotional body that is resisting that truth also. But I usually wait until I feel a nudge to do these readings. So I'm not like on a schedule by any means. I just wait until it's like, hey, go start the readings. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. But this time around, when that message or that guidance nudge, whatever it was, or whatever it is, I should say, showed up, it was accompanied by "and then take a break," which I immediately felt like a sense of relief around. Like, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Like, I do need to take a little bit of a break. And then right behind that was, and it might be permanent, which I'm not going to lie, like, just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, I wasn't really expecting that at all. But truly, like, it just, the channel just hasn't been as successful as I was hoping that it would be. And, this is the only consistent thing that I have done over the last 3 years, except for breathe. And it's kind of like when do you accept the truth of a thing? Like, part of me, I feel, I kind of keep telling myself to like not stop doing it before the consistency and the work like pays off. Because that's what I would tell you guys, right? Like, don't quit before you see the fruits of your labor, right? But at the same time, like, when do you accept the truth too? So I don't know, but I did start EMDR therapy recently, and that has been unexpected. In the best way possible. I'm so glad that this is where I'm at. But I just kind of feel like I need to give myself a bit more space and, you know, time, I guess, to reclaim these things that are coming up in therapy, which I think is the reason for the break, like the need for the break. So it's interesting, like, there's two separate, kind of things happening at the same time. But I'm also just hoping that, through that break and this time, that I get clarity on what I want to do. Like, if I do continue with the channel, like, what can I do to get to the level of success that I want to get at, or do I just, or is it a matter of like accepting that, hey, I did do this for 3 years. Like that's a success in and of itself, really. I don't know. We'll see. So anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about Aries. What you got for Aries? The Queen of Cups says honoring your emotions is one of the highest forms of self-care. Yo. That is way too many cards. What else for Aries? Okay. We can't take like 12 cards, bro. I don't have the space and we don't have the time. Let's simplify, condense the message. See if that helps. For Aries. I don't take the cards that flip in the deck. I just don't take those seriously. Like, we want commitment, so it's got to come all the way out of the deck. How many is this now? Okay, we can do that. We have the Emperor. Aries showing up in their reading. Love to see it. Temperance and the Lovers. Gemini. Interesting because, Uranus just went into Gemini. The Hierophant at the bottom of the deck, which is Taurus. That's interesting. We have Aries, Taurus, Gemini. Let's see. I can't. Let me just move these over and see. Oh, we got some room over here. Okay. I was actually like thinking too, like while I was shuffling about how your Uranus, I can't call it your Uranus. I like I've called it Uranus for I can't even tell you like how long. So it feels so weird to call it Uranus. There was this video I saw on TikTok of this guy that was like ranting about like I don't believe in astrology, but I do research astrology a lot. Um and like talking about how people are calling Uranus. So like, how can astrology people mispronounce the word or whatever? So obviously I blocked him because shut up. But like same with like heretic owl. I've called it heretic owl, or just heretic forever. Um, I'm pretty sure that it is actually pronounced heretic. No, that makes me want to gag. It's like a sensory thing or something. Like I cannot physically, without wanting to gag, say it properly. Same with Uranus. So anyway, my that's my rant. But that's your third house. If you're an Aries rising, of course, obviously, if you're not an Aries rising, then wherever Gemini is in your chart. Um, but if you are an Aries rising, that's your third house, which is siblings, neighborhoods, communication, um, like local commute. I think maybe cousins is in there too. And I believe Uranus would be sextiling Neptune and Saturn for a little bit. And I believe that sextiles are good. Like they're not bad. um but anyway, I mean they're all like outer planets too. So um maybe it'll just be, kind of a an energy that's just kind of around you type of thing versus feeling it strongly. We'll find out. Anyway, so Queen of Cups, the Emperor, Temperance, the Lovers. Um, for me, like I see the Queens as being when we embody the energy of the suit ourselves. Also, I want to point out, look at all this major arcana too. Like literally, the Queen of Cups is the only minor arcana card that's out here. I just did Pisces, and they had 3 major arcana cards, and then the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Big energies. So, Queens are when we embody the energy of the suit ourselves. It's literally pouring into your own cup. It's understanding your own feelings. It's giving attention to your own feelings. Even like validating. It literally says honoring your emotions is one of the highest forms of self-care. So again, right, like there could be a situation that you are working on, either clarifying what your emotions are about the thing. maybe you're, expressing your emotions on a certain thing. Definitely, the self-care aspect, like, maybe um taking care of your emotions differently, honoring them in some capacity. This also feels like very solo trip vibe here, which I love. Maybe a retreat, or which isn't necessarily like a solo trip. The journey to the retreat could, of course, be a solo trip, but um, yeah, I love the idea of sitting on a balcony staring at the ocean. I love that. Oh, hang on. Okay. Amazon showed up and I knew my dog was going to start freaking out. So there is a pause button on the camera. But anyway, so that's what I did. This queen, like, I just keep staring at, I just keep staring at her. And I'm like, I'm trying to put myself literally in her shoes, like literally sitting there, ocean breeze in your hair, right? And like what that would feel like. I keep feeling like relief. I also, like, what? Let me. I opened right to the page. Perfect. This queen lounges on her back deck. Oh, imagine. Like, if this is your back deck, please invite me over. The queen lounges on her back deck, enjoying a large glass of water. It's important to hydrate. And I cried quite a bit this afternoon, so it's proving even more essential. She says, this card may represent an adult who's in tune with their emotions and isn't embarrassed to show them, or it could represent someone at any stage of life, of course, with these qualities. They're the one who you vent to at the end of a hard day because their comforting words are unmatched. But be sure to check on them too, because being an empath is far from easy. Taking time away from others to replenish oneself is important. Otherwise, how would they have the energy to take care of others? That is the thing, right? Like, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You can, but it's only doing harm to yourself. Like, you're really not helping anybody by doing that. And also, like, you're the one that has the responsibility of checking on your own cup. So maybe that's too, like, what you are recognizing the importance of. First of all, to cry if you need to. I don't know. Do Aries people like I know, like Aries is a lot of fire, so recognizing the the need to cry if you do need to cry, right? But also the importance of making sure that your cup is full. Figuring out a way to like cleanse, to cleanse like other people's energies, because that's, like with the empath thing, right? Like we do have a tendency to absorb other people's feelings. Like your feelers are always open, like, scoping out, other people's, like, what's the vibe of the room. It is a trauma response too, right? To do that, to, like, emotionally check the temperature of a person, a room, a situation, whatever. And, figuring out ways to cleanse that. I mean, you could take a bath, you could, get into a body of water, maybe even to just, if at the very least, upping the amount of water that you drink, because also too, like, that will flush, your system, and maybe even setting an intention for any type of, energy that is not yours, or that is clogging your energetic field, to be flushed out when you pee. Seriously, I've done that. We have the Emperor next, which says being the authority of your own life comes with a lot of responsibility. Like I said, this is the card of Aries. The Emperor is the divine masculine. It could be a father figure, or just a masculine figure in your life. Even to, like, your relationship to the, like, masculine authority types. But the divine masculine, we think in terms of initiation, right? Like hunting, gathering, um, control too. Like, having control of a situation, taking charge, even audacity, like that, there's that saying of, like, having the audacity of a mediocre white dude. Um, so it's interesting that, like, the first card that comes up is talking about, taking care of yourself on the emotional side of things. And then the next card is about the masculine, like, truly the divine masculine, like, representation. Like, the Emperor has been said to be like all of the kings in one card. Like, the Empress would be all of the queens in one card. So, the Emperor has the energy of the King of Pentacles, the King of Swords, the King of Wands, and the King of Cups, and can draw on all of those elements, experience. And then also too, that the card next to it is Temperance, which she's holding a hot cup of something, coffee, and then a cup of ice water, which is kind of like the representation of the Queen of Cups and the Emperor. And then the Lover's card being um, the the balance between the masculine and feminine energies. So it does seem like there is this restructuring thing that's happening within yourself. Like, you're getting clarity on what your feelings are, giving yourself the time, the space, the grace, the, compassion to honor your feelings, recognize that you have them, and, however you express them, or however they are even expressed to you. Very important. And then with the Emperor, of, like, what are you doing, like, with the masculine side of things? Because we all have masculine and feminine energies, right? And sometimes, like, one or the other is more prominent, or we're giving more attention to. The masculine would be strategizing and go getting, like, putting a lot of oomph into things. Again, like initiating um next steps, like, what are you going to do, like, finding solutions. The book says the emperor has experienced a thing or two in their lifetime, so it's not at all surprising that they have a few tips to share. They want you to know that while fun and spontaneity are essential parts of life, it can't be that way all the time. If you're thinking about doing something risky, sit down and carefully think over every little detail. Make sure it's truly in your best interest, because sometimes the things we think will make us happy can cause major problems in the long run. Always know your why and how before committing to anything, and then map out a backup plan or two just in case things don't go as anticipated. You'll definitely thank yourself later. It's like, maybe there is some level of, like, excitement or um dopamine, or something that it's like wanting to put your energy into something, and it's like the excitement or anticipation of, like, being impulsive is kind of driving the cart right now. The temperance card talks about moderation. Like I said, right? Well, on the card it says let go of self-imposed limitations. um which, like, if you are approaching a thing from the perspective of, I mean, maybe wanting a thrill, or that anticipation, or again, like dopamine, right? Like, um it's like checking in with your intentions. But the temperance card in this book was talking about how her enjoying the coffee, um or too much coffee, was affecting her sleep. So she started to enjoy a little less coffee and added water into the mix, and, obviously started sleeping better. So again, it's interesting that we start with the Queen of Cups that is holding a glass of water, hydrating, because, first of all, it's important. Second of all, she cried a lot. Right? And then the Emperor with the fire energy of Aries, and tempering that down. Like, I know Empress Aries has been described as like a match, right? Like that spark. The spark is fast, but it can burn out pretty quick too. So there is, like, the impulsive nature of Aries, which, of course, I mean, that's in your nature, right? Like, nobody's telling you to go against your nature. But also, what is being advised here literally is to temper that with your emotions. What is the intention here? Is there an emotion that you are trying to avoid? Also, you know, whatever this situation is, what is the truth about it? Versus like, what are you telling yourself, right? Like, because that can be two very different things, but our minds can convince us that they are the same, you know? Um, so just something to be aware of, you know, just something to, and not to mention with the Emperor card, right? Like you are in control of yourself. And this almost kind of feels like it's something out of control, or it's again like maybe the emotion about it, the anticipation about it is getting to a point of being uncomfortable. So it's like wanting to do the Aries thing of just impulsively acting, and then dealing with the fallout, which, okay, but again, this whole reading is about balancing those two things out. And then, like I said, we have the Lover's card. Will you or won't you? The choice is yours. The book says, it says two smitten witches stare into each other's eyes as they decide whether they're ready for this next step. On one hand, one kiss has the potential to change everything for the worse. On the other hand, it also has a potential to change everything for the better. In a similar way, you may be deciding whether you want to get swept away by something or perhaps someone, because the intensity of it is unlike anything you've ever experienced. This connection may feel faded, and that's because it very well could be. That's not to say it will definitely work out, but that's not to say it won't either. If you don't try, you'll never know the end result. What do you say, witch? That's the thing too, you know, like this like teeter-totter back and forth like type of thing too. And maybe that is also like what has been happening is that, you know, maybe you do have, you know, you get these bouts of, you know, major motivation and the energy to move towards a thing, to initiate a thing. And then there's something on the water side that tempers that down. You know, so maybe there's something living in your like your emotional field that again, you know, like needs to be recognized and honored. The Hierophant hasn't even come out in any of these readings yet, so I'm excited to read what the book has to say about it. It says tradition is important, but it doesn't have to be everything. Love that. You stumble into a local shop owned by a wise witch. She's more than happy to help new and aspiring practitioners find their way in the sometimes overwhelming world of the craft. She offers you the same advice she offers them. Regard the new ways of doing things with the same respect as you do the old, for nothing was meant to stay the same forever. How boring would it be if if nothing ever changed? Break away from established norms every chance you get. Make your own unique brand of magic. If people point and laugh at you for daring to be different, point and laugh at them right back for being so cowardly as to be the same as everybody else. Okay, I love that. And that could be exactly with this whole like back and forth, like thing is talking about, right? Like you have this motivation, to do something, right? You want to do that Aries impulse, like thing to go and start it, initiate it, whatever. But then, there could be that the feelings that we're talking about that are tempering that. It's like immediately somebody, like, that striking that match, and then immediately somebody dumping a glass of water on it. But it's something that feels like it's happening within yourself. So, just as I was saying at the beginning of this reading, right? Like I have to mention the CapCut thing because I'm judging myself. And I'm doing that because I'm assuming that I'm going to be judged by whoever watches these videos. Right? So if I get to it first, then it's fine. So so that could be in the same sense of like what's happening. You have this excitement, this spark, but then immediately, maybe it is the judgment of others. Maybe it is, some type of like hurt feeling that, from your past. Like maybe there was something that you were really excited about, and then your siblings, your parents, your teachers, your whoever immediately dumped a glass of water on it, and you're still experiencing that. And true, like with the Lovers being at the end here, I mean, truly the choice is yours. Like, can you honor that emotion? Can you honor that happened to you in the past, and that feeling is coming up again because you're excited about something? And can you allow yourself to moderate that, to almost like reparent yourself through that? What would be the advice that you would give somebody else? Like, can you take your own advice? Like, can you allow yourself to move through this with the discomfort? Do you need to start EMDR therapy if it's accessible to you? It's only accessible to me because they take my insurance for now. So for now. So what an interesting and beautiful reading. I know you can do it. And having an awareness too of like what is happening, then you're able to like talk yourself through. When you get to a glass ceiling, you can talk yourself through those things. Like if you are stepping away from what is traditionally acceptable, can you almost like baby yourself through the potential judgment, the looks, the stares, the whispers, the people just not getting it. And they don't need to. They're not invited anyway. Like they're not the ones that are doing it. It's just projection, right? Okay, I'm leaving it there. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards. I will talk to you soonish. Bye.